So, part two of my story is that I was in the fight of my life, to say the least. My husband was told that if our child was going to live, she would live. If she lived past 24 hours, that she would make it. But if not, then, she would pass away. And I was hanging in the balance as well. So that was a lot, that he had to suffer through on the other spectrum. Um, and just to let you know, I was in a fight. I was in a battle. I was fighting to stay here, and it took a lot. It took so much. I just remember that I didn't know how bad it was. I just knew that it was bad enough to where I was fighting so hard. And at one point in time, I thought to myself, I'll be going to the morgue and they'll be wheeling my body away to the morgue and it'll be a fight that I lost. But that didn't stop me. And the thing about it is that when that took place, there was a spiritual death, there was an ego death, there was literally a physical death that took place. If anybody knows that's in the medical field, they hear about the death rattle, and I heard that a lot. I heard that a lot, even when I was unconscious. And usually, for those that don't know, usually what the death rattle is, if you hear the death rattle in patients, they literally pass within hours to a few days, but it's almost a guarantee that they're gonna be gone. And that was something that had happened to me. And, not to even go over all the little small details, but I just remember when they were trying to wake me up, that I would always, one nurse particularly put a picture of Melanie on my bed, and every time I would look up, that was the first thing I saw. And when I seen that and I went back under, it was just like, okay, here we go. We're fighting again, because I said to myself, I said, there's no way that I can leave here and I see my newborn baby. But at any rate, like I said, there was a lot of things that took place. There was a lot of becoming. There was a lot of awakenings that was happening, and I didn't know. So while I was spiritually fighting to stay on this earth, there was a lot of things that were transitioning in my life, unfolding, and I had angels everywhere. You know how a lot of people talk about how bad the hospitals can be, and these horrible stories, in which it can be. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Been in the hospital setting, in the medical setting for a very long time, so I know how things can be. However, we don't give gratitude enough to those angels that are still there, those ones that advocate, those ones that really make sure that things are done. And I had an angel while I was there. Her name was Ashley, if I'm not mistaken, but every time she would talk to me, and she would keep talking to me and encouraging me. She said, hey, this is what's going on. And I was just like, okay, and she really stood by my side. She was a day shift nurse, and that's one thing that I do remember. But like I said, just kind of going back to the spiritual, the physical, and the ego death that was taking place. It really, really was the pivotal point in my life. I thought that I knew everything. I thought that I'd been through a lot, but that wasn't even the tip of the iceberg. So I'm going just to let you know that, people that are dealing with grief, people that are dealing with a lot of sadness, a lot of times that stuff stays in your heart, and it's in your heart, but it also festers and sits in your lung space. So sometimes that grief can not only just be sadness, but like I said, it holds there and it manifests into physical elements. So like I said, everything happens in the spiritual before it connects to the physical. And my my thing is to come to you to help you to understand that some of the things that I went through was very horrific, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And my recovery was even harder. However, like I progressed, I made it through. And like I said, I had angels on this side, I had ancestors and angels on the other side, I had everybody around me, and I knew that. So, like I said, stay tuned for part 3.